here we are in the permaculture orchard, and we're going to be planting some trees with Hale and Alan. You're looking at a Montmorency cherry. That's a pretty nice looking cherry tree. This tree is sitting in a pot, but it's actually balled up here with this synthetic fabric, and we're going to have to untie that and take that off. Now, when you get a ball that's burlap, I also untie them and take them off, and a lot of times they'll cut away from the neck here because the burlap doesn't biodegrade in some areas as fast as you would think. And then you get a plant that's root bound. So we'll come over here and show you the other specimen, which is pretty fantastic. It's a peach tree. I don't know what kind of peach it is, but there is a tag. What's it say?
Hollyhaven?
Hollyhaven.
Hollyhaven.
Hollyhaven, and it's probably the right zone for here, or I'm really dumb. It says zone 5 to 6. It only gets 10 to 15 foot wide and 10 to 20 foot tall. That's pretty big. But as you can see, the apple behind Alan there, that's been there 5 years, and not a lot of growing happens here. It's pretty stunted. So, and that's because when we got here, and I'm going to tell you a secret, we didn't know what we were really doing that much, and I didn't improve the soil that much, so these were planted in, you know, we didn't have the soil going. Now the soil's going. Take a look at the currant bush here. So we're going to be popping this in a hole. Now, the reason we have a cage, why do we have cages, Alan?
Keep those gophers out.
Yeah, they'll eat a whole tree. And so this is a complete circular cage that's even on the bottom, obviously, but we just put some dirt in. And yeah, right there's the cage. Boom. So that's just to keep the pocket gophers out.
And it's full of worms.
Full of worms, so that means we're doing something good with the soil. You want to grab the camera and I'll pop this tree out here? I got my blue cowboy hat on. From the thrift store for $3. Now when you get a tree in a pot like this, a lot of people, when you come home from the store, make sure these are lying down and they're supported. Because what you'll start to do is move the tree around here. See how it's wiggling? And you're going to break apart that root ball, and you don't want to do that. Also, when you take a tree out of the pot, you want to support this and as much as you can. So a lot of times I'll just lay this down and then give the pot a tap. And you see how I've loosened it out of the pot as gentle as possible? And I'm holding the stem down here at the base. So that's the best way to take a tree out. Slide the pot out, not the tree. And if you want to come look in here, Alan, this is pretty nice. The tree is barely root bound. You can see some on this side. And what you're going to come in here in a tree like this that's lightly root bound is just come and with your hand gently work some of this mulch out and expose some of those roots. This is an easy one. If it's extremely root bound, you're going to have to come and cut some of that root out. But look at how we're exposing that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And so this is going to have a, here it's a little bit root bound on the bottom. See how I'm pulling the roots out here? Yeah. People at home? Okay, so that's pretty good. Can I get you?
That's all good.
That's pretty good. So we've exposed some of those roots, and now we're just going to plant the tree. And you want to plant this tree, this would be too deep. You want to come look at your grade here, which is right here where my hand is, and you want to be putting this, the neck above the grade. So the first thing we'll do is just add a little soil back in here.
And I added compost to the soil.
Yeah, so that's why this side looks a little nicer. And then just keep adding until you get to the level of what you want. I like that. What do you like that?
That looks good.
Yeah. And then we're just going to backfill this baby. Now a couple considerations, because we have that you don't, is we want to make sure to get soil in around this cage so there's no air pockets. The reason most people with fresh trees kill their trees, there's air pockets in there and it dries out. So I'm making sure to get all this nice and filled in here. Now while you also want someone checking out the angle of the tree.
Right.
So that you don't have to reset it. And then the final step of putting a tree in is called healing it in. And it's literally
healing it in.
Getting your heel and removing all that extra soil, also compacting the soil, and you heal it in several times as you install it. I will show you what a nice final grade here will look like. And a lot of guys that are landscapers will finish the planting with something called a dish, and we'll get to the dish in a minute. But at first, I want to heal this in a little better. And literally, I'm just going around the perimeter here. See how that's compacting? Amazing. And I don't recommend flip-flops for this job.
Especially with cages.
So this tree, pretty nicely healed in. And then, the final touch. You want to come here and find out where the actual surface from the original pot was. Because if you bury this, the tree is literally going to suffocate. So, and then you can add a dish around the tree to hold water. Just make sure the dish is level. So this is a dish. And then you can just fill this whole area in with water, and it makes for easier watering. And take a look, Alan.
Yep. Worms.
So we'll just get him back in there. And then the final step, obviously, we're going to want to mulch that. So that's how you plant a tree from a pot. Pretty simple. And let's go look at the other tree. Shall we?
Yes.
I like these tide balls a little better because it keeps the roots safer from jiggling around. And we had a Montmorency here before. We've had several, and they get eaten by gophers. But not today, Alan.
Not today. Take a look at that cage.
So we got a good old gopher cage over there. Now do the same thing here. Protect your tree when you're popping it out. And you can see here that it wants to grow. We got some nice roots coming out. And then you're gonna want to untie this. Some people cut it, but you're risking damaging the bark here, so just take your time and untie it. So here we go. And usually it's crisscross wrapped like this, and then you can just open that baby up. Now, the one thing I can recommend you cut is the sock itself. And it helps you from ripping apart the roots or whatever you're getting at. So, let's just cut this little bit here. And that's going to let us get in here a little bit. And so, see how I haven't really damaged anything? And this tree is, would you say is root bound, Alan?
Not at all.
No. So it's almost living on a wing and a prayer here. Let's see what it's got for roots. Yep. And you can see that just a little bit of fresh new roots coming out of there. So we want to get this in the ground quick.
Fast.
So I'm going to get that out of the sun. And I'm actually going to put some of this filler in here. Get some of that filler up there. And the first thing we're going to do is, Alan's holding this up. Look at he's multitasking. Yeah, and so they have it here at the graft. And so that's where we're going to try to get it to go. So what we want is to have some nice soil compacted underneath of it. And that, what do you think of that spot, Alan? You like that?
Look good. It needs to go to your left just a little. Yeah, right there.
And so we have huge issues with wind here, pushing our trees over.
Yeah.
You get a good butt shot there. Again, I'm just trying to get the soil compacted in on this cage. And we'll let you in on a little secret. We're planning a nice trip out to a secret place Alan knows about called, where is it called?
Mossback Butte.
Mossback Butte. So we're headed out there in just a few days. We also got another river trip coming up on Thursday.
Yay.
So I'm just healing this in. I'm gonna find that graft. There it is. That's pretty good planting. My final heel. Beautiful.
Yes.
And then just make a dish.
And then mulch.
So we're gonna mulch this baby, get some water on it, and hopefully this Montmorency makes it. And if you just want to show them the little miracle on here, where is our one cherry?
That's right up here.
Like, subscribe, share, and plant a tree. You can do it.
Yes. And thank you, folks.